the duality of our struggle, of our lower and our higher self, our human self and our spiritual self, our desire to do good, yet to be evil, our desire to be unselfish, yet we are selfish. This duality can be decreased by intentional service, by intentional desire of correcting ourselves. And that's what it is, the human duality.
Nothing you do matters unless what you do matters. I'm Amadon Dellerba, and this is Get Real or Die Trying.
How we doing, tribe? Welcome to episode 17, where I'm discussing the duality of man. You know, I wanted to talk about this because I've been doing a lot of self-work recently. A lot of my lower traits, my lower patterns, my lower self has been revealed to me by my elders. It's been quite a uncomfortable process indeed. But anytime you dive into the well of your own being and consciousness and soul, and you go down deep, you're going to find some things that are not so pretty, not so lovely to deal with, that are hard to stomach. And so I have been in a state, and my earlier podcasts have touched on this, and I've actually talked about this concept of human duality, the concept that we are always striving to be in our spiritual nature and ascend out of our human nature. And the duality and the dichotomy and the hypocrisy of my own personal existence is very clear to me, and has been revealed to me in many ways and continues to be almost every day. And it's an uncomfortable process, but it's a good process. And I'm personally trying to embrace it and move forward with dignity and humility and vulnerability and realness and just understanding myself. It still takes courage to pursue the higher virtues. That's what my podcast is about, the pursuit to self-mastery. And so I'm on this journey with everybody. I'm not here talking about how much I know. I'm not here to pretend like I have it all together, because this is get real or die trying. And I'm trying to get real. I'm trying to help others get real. And the only way I can help others is by just sharing my own personal process, my own mistakes, learning, discovering, failing, and even successes. And so I'm on the journey with you guys. I am the journey. This podcast is about my failure and my ability to overcome my mistakes and to learn from them and to realize the duality of myself and my pursuit to self-mastery and being a more advanced, spiritually mature man. I want to start by reciting a prose that I wrote that kind of illustrates the duality of myself. And I personally feel that it illustrates the duality of all human beings, especially human beings who are inherently conscious and are trying to strive for higher spiritual ways of living. I am a fool. I strive to be a sage. I am a dichotomy. I am a hypocrite. I am lost in human nature. I am seeking my spiritual nature. I am a weak man. I am striving to be a strong man. I am an aggressive man. I am trying to be a gentle man. I am a coward. I seek to be courageous. I am arrogant, and I seek to be humble. I am childish. I seek wisdom. I am ignorant. I seek to be educated. I am impatient. I seek to be patient. I am a narcissist. I seek to be a servant of all. I am brash. I seek to be more graceful. I am macho. I seek to be more balanced in my strength. I am a chauvinist. I seek to be more balanced in my masculinity. I am a resentful man. I strive to purify my heart's perceptions. I am a self-absorbed man. I strive to be other-oriented. I am a selfish man. I strive to be selfless. I am an opinionated man. I strive to be less attached to my viewpoints. I am guarded. I seek to be vulnerable. I am insensitive. I seek sensitivity. I am burdened. I seek peace. I am toxic. I seek to be pure. I am broken. I seek to be whole. I am wounded. I seek to be healed. I am disowning. I seek to proclaim. I am enslaved to my own ego. I seek to free myself from myself. I exist in duality. I seek to exist in singularity, in totality, in unity. I am seeking, I am identifying, and I am removing. I am revealing, and I am unveiling. I am unraveling. For I am a fool, striving to be a sage. Personally, I feel that existing in too much duality is the root of my suffering, my conflicts, and I think it is for most people. The battle of our lower selves with our higher selves must end. And at some point, our higher selves must keep our lower selves pinned down. Now, there may be times where we slip up and our lower self, rises and there's a bit of a wrestling match again, and we have to pin back down that lower self. But we must commit to this process. We must be willing to do what we need to do to realize that it's a constant battle, that the lower self and the higher self, the human nature versus the spiritual nature, the duality is a constant battle. We're always trying to ascend. We get better, we dominate, we keep it pinned down more and more as we grow. But there are times that it bounces back, and we have to be okay with that and be ready to get back in the fight, wrestle it back down, pin it down. The past and the future in itself is duality. And I think that we bounce between regret and anxiety, fear to act, and yet shame that we didn't. We humans were always trying to reconcile the duality of our existence. Once again, human nature versus spiritual nature. I think the present moment is true reality. Being in the present moment is true singularity. As my father and spiritual teacher says, Gabriel of Urantia, being in the eternal moment. I feel there are no opposites when we exist in totality. There will always be duality in some manner as we ascend towards perfection, but it must decrease as we grow in God. And as we become more absolute in who we are, where we came from, where we're going, we come more into totality or singularity. The less that I live in duality and come into the cosmic singularity of personality, into oneness, the more spiritually ascended I am, the more spiritually ascended I become, the more spiritually mature I am, the more refined I become. Dare I say enlightened. That's what enlightenment is. Carl Jung said the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. I really feel like we're in pursuit of our highest personality. We're in pursuit of our God-given personality. We're in pursuit of becoming who we are meant to be, of our future selves, of our destiny purposes. We cannot fully develop into who we are supposed to become without the aid of our spiritual elders, mentors, teachers, guides. We need those people in our lives to help us grow. I'm so blessed to have those people in my life. I'm blessed to be corrected, redirected, and that correction can come from anybody. It can come from coworkers, it can come from family, it can come from spouses, it can come from your children, But specifically, when one seeks out and wants a spiritual teacher and an elder to help them grow, to help them ascend out of duality and into singularity, to refine their characters, when one person seeks somebody out, they're better off. They're going to get it a lot faster. Because we need our duality pointed out to us, because we're all too often blind to it. I truly believe that we cannot come into a place of consciousness and awareness without pain and suffering. I don't think we can ascend into superconsciousness without the suffering that comes with realization. And we cannot truly become real without suffering. And we cannot truly overcome duality without true God consciousness. Lao Tse said, a quote, I want to read it. He said, "The cords of passion and desire weave a binding net around you. Worldly confrontation makes you stiff and inflexible. The trap of duality is tenacious. Bound, rigid, and trapped, you cannot experience liberation." I don't think we'll ever be divine, but we can have states of being in periods of time and consciousness where we experience this totality, this divinity, this feeling of peace. We can experience this when we have total surrender. Some may call it divinity, bliss, or enlightenment, whatever you want to call it. And it's not a state of being that you just get to and then you just stay there forever. This is a state of being that we can experience in a transient time. It comes and it goes. If anyone tells you otherwise, it's just not true, because we are humans battling. We are in that duality. Some people remain in a more constant state of peace. Ascended spiritual masters can remain in that more constant state of peace and totality with themselves and in their God-given personality. But they don't not have moments of coming out of that peace, of that struggle. But ultimately, it is unity that our souls want to experience, because unity brings inner peace and external peace. When the micro is in harmony, the macro world can be in harmony. When we shift from disturbing the peace to creating it, to spreading it, that's when we reach that state of totality. I'm very guilty, and I'm a fool because I'm not a peacemaker. I disturb the moment around me when I am in inner conflict, micro conflict. The macro world, the external world is affected because my internal affects the external all the time. And I try to pretend like it doesn't, but it does. And another example of duality, the inner and the outer self. If I'm in inner conflict, I can't pretend that my outer world is in divine pattern when it's not. And I've had to learn this and continue to learn this, and am learning this every day. But at least I'm trying and striving. Again, it's about the pursuit. Don't just give up. Don't sit up on the side of the trail and give up and go backwards. Sometimes you fall down, but you got to get up and keep going on that pursuit. Again, self-mastery is one of the key answers to spiritual growth. It's something I am personally working on very hard, and I'm failing at tremendously right now, having more self-mastery. I want to read a passage from the Urantia book, which I often quote because to me it is a vast and beautiful book, and it is the most recent epical revelation to this planet. I want to read the words of Jesus, but not the Jesus of the narrow-minded, small-thinking, dogmatic understand that millions of people have. I'm talking about the cosmic Christ here. I'm talking about the Christ who is vast. And these are his words. "Verily, verily, I say to you, he who rules his own self is greater than he who captures a city." Self-mastery is the measure of a man's moral nature and the indicator of his spiritual development. By the old way you seek to suppress, obey, and conform to the rules of living. By the new way, you are first transformed by the Spirit of truth, and thereby strengthened in your inner soul by the constant spiritual renewing of your mind, and so are you endowed with the power of the certain and joyous performance of the gracious, acceptable, and perfect will of God. Forget not, it is your personal faith in the exceedingly great and precious promises of God that ensures your becoming partakers of the divine nature. Thus, by your faith and the Spirit's transformation, you become in reality the temples of God, and in His Spirit, and His Spirit actually dwells within you. If then the Spirit dwells within you, you are no longer bond slaves of the flesh, but free and liberated sons of true Spirit. The new law of the Spirit endows you with the liberty of self-mastery in place of the old law of the fear of self-bondage and the slavery of self-denial. Wow. That pretty much sums up, I think, the human battle pursuing that spiritual liberation, that time and that place and that feeling in our hearts and minds where we reach oneness. We really reach being in the Tao. We really reach being in the Creator's perfect will for us. You know, the more that we truly desire harmony, the more we truly realize that we must conquer ourselves to achieve this harmony and this unity state of being. It's in the pursuit of mastering oneself that we can increase our chances of experiencing these periods of sublime peace. When all duality vanishes and we experience the still silence of singularity by our will becoming the Creator's will, we are one with God. We are one with our God-given personality. And this is the pursuit to self-mastery. This is the great journey, the adventure, the experience of the human mortal ascension process to paradise. This is what we're here for. And we forget that. Some of us don't know that. But when we become enlightened and we realize that our time on this planet, in this body, is a time to perfect, is a time to grow, is a time to pursue higher spiritual consciousness, we realize then the beauty of the journey. And so I'm on the journey. I invite you, as always, to join me in the journey of perfecting ourselves. It's not easy. I struggle. I resist. I can get on camera here and I can talk about it. I can illustrate what I'm doing, what we all need to do. I can talk about the pursuit, but walking it is a lot harder. Walking the talk is something that cannot be captured on camera. It's not something that can be seen by others, except for those around you and the loved ones physically in your presence who are there to support you, recognize you, nourish you, and help you grow and confront you. Like my last previous episodes, carefrontation and confrontation. The people around you will help you grow. The duality of our struggle, of our lower and our higher self, our human self and our spiritual self, our desire to do good, yet to be evil, our desire to be unselfish, yet we are selfish. This duality can be decreased by intentional service, by intentional desire of correcting ourselves. And that's what it is, the human duality. And so as we pursue singularity, as we pursue what I call totality of our existence, of ourselves, of our God-given personalities, we become more whole, we become more ascended, we become more capable, we have more inner peace, and as Gabriel of Urantia says, we are in the eternal moment. Thanks, tribe. This is my talk on the duality of man.
Check out my website at getrealordietryin.com. Leave me a voicemail on anchor.fm/getrealordietryin. Rate and review us on Apple Podcasts or any of the platforms you listen on. Be sure to follow me on social media and share this podcast with your friends. Word of mouth is a great way to share the vibe. Get Real or Die Trying with Amadon Dellerba is a production of Global Change Media. And remember, pain is temporary, victory is eternal.